What's Good podcast.
Are you ready?
Your number one source
to all the keys in the industry.
With Brianna Jovahn.
It's the What's Good podcast.
What's good? Hey, ladies and gents, this is your girl, Brianna Jovahn, with another episode of What's Good podcast. We have another wild card Wednesday with us. His name is Arias WebsterBerry. Said that correctly?
Indeed.
And he's going to let us know and tell us about his story today. So let's go ahead and get started. As you guys know, we always start with who is the guest. So tell us who you are, Arias.
I am an entrepreneur. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I am a trainer. I'm a Dallas native. I was born here. I grew up in San Diego. But, you know, my main business, I'm a digital marketer. So I help entrepreneurs and businesses turn or generate leads and then turn those leads into dollars.
I love that. I mean, there is a lot of layers to you coming from all the things that you just mentioned. How do you balance it all from speaking to, of course, your clients, digital marketing? I'm sure you're doing content for yourself. So how are you balancing it all? Because I know you can burn out, you know. How do you keep it going?
I have an amazing team.
Nice.
I have a team of over 20 at this point in my agency. And then I run a tech company as well. So we hire amazing people and we place our trust in them, and we also, you know, expect excellence. And we hire, develop, and train, and you know, give people the runway to take their innate talents and share them with us and our clients.
I love that. So when did you know, for our people that's just now starting off with their business, when did you know it was time to bring on people to help you and, of course, build your team?
Once I had enough clients, but also once I had created a process that was duplicatable and I had documented that process. And
like
I could
SOP?
Gotcha. And I could get predictable results. So a lot of times entrepreneurs, they either hire too early or they hire too late. And, you know, too early is when you haven't figured out your process and you can't get predictable results. So you can't do this thing and get this thing. So that means that you really need to hone your process. You need to hone your product or your service and figure out how to produce it consistently. And then some hire too late. They build up a book of business and then they put themselves at the center of everything, so they become a bottleneck. So they bring people on, but the people can't get anything done unless they, you know, run it by you first, which is like, well, what's the point of having them around if they can't work autonomously? So yeah, I knew it was time because we had enough customers. I had figured out our process and I was able to teach other people because I had documented it.
That's so good, because at that point you was wearing multiple hats, so you knew what each position consists of.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about how we got to digital marketing. How did you get to where you are today with your media company?
I was already kind of in it. So I started in promotions. So I started with, you know, little clubs and then, you know, small concerts, and then eventually got into really high-end concerts. So for 17,000 people, that was my biggest event at the LA Sports Arena. I had Janelle Monáe and Common and Ludacris and Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys and a whole bunch of other people. So in doing that, and this was a lifetime ago, but social media was becoming a big thing at that time. So we negotiated contracts with some of the social media platforms because we were spending a significant amount of money. We did outdoor marketing, so billboards, radio, TV, all these different things. So I was already in marketing. And then once I came back to Dallas, I went and got formal training with a digital marketing agency.
Nice. Is that something that you volunteered yourself for, or somebody reached out to you?
No, I applied. So it was a huge company, the largest digital marketing company in the world at the time, which was Reach Local. So I went to work. I kind of started at ground level and worked my way up, but it allowed me to learn Google AdWords. It was what it was called at the time. It allowed me to learn how to sell digital advertising. It learned kind of all of the jargon. I learned how to build campaigns and, you know, all of the different steps. And eventually I went off on my own to start my own. Well, I started freelancing. I can't even say I started a company. I was just helping people with various things, building websites, doing email marketing, and on, I learned the full cycle of marketing.
Very nice.
And then eventually, you know, I got a partner. We started a company.
I love that. So my story is kind of the same with the freelancing background, coming from corporate straight into freelancing until I figured out that I wanted to actually build a company. So for you, did you strategize that? Like you wanted to kind of figure out, do it your own, or it just came extra money?
Organically. I was just like, hey, I'm working here. People are asking me for help. I'm helping them. And then, I started making a good amount of money, more than I was making at work. So then I just transitioned.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Was there a number or a goal that you wanted to see before you transitioned out of corporate?
Eventually, I think I said like 1.5. So like, I think at the time I was probably making like 60 or 70,000. So, I wanted to hit 100 grand,
Nice.
120. And I was comfortable being able to transition.
I love that for you. So how did you get a partner into your business?
Again, organic. I got a call from a friend about a venue that was opening up in Dallas. Went there, and they already had a guy who was kind of doing some things that were similar, but he was more on the creative side. I was more on the analytical side, and we just kind of had some conversations and decided that we should team up. So we created a company, and we did that for a little bit, and then I eventually ended up spinning that off, and it became WebsterBerry Marketing.
Very nice. Okay, so I have been talking to several entrepreneurs and things of that nature when it comes to social media marketing, and one of the biggest questions was, how do I bring my voice to social media when I'm in the same industry as somebody else? They're doing their thing. How can I make my content different from the next person? So what would you say as far as like a media strategy or making them feel comfortable to, you have your own story to share?
I think just being honest about your story and not just the pretty parts. And then, niching down. A lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake of being open to everyone. And that, early on, that's fine. But if you can find a particular subgroup that you service, and typically it's someone who resonates with your story, then it makes you different. You can do marketing for small to medium-sized businesses, which is, 90% of the market, right? Or you can do marketing for small to medium-sized businesses that are female-led and Black-owned. That's a niche.
Dialing it down.
Right? Or you can do that for, a specific industry, say the beauty industry, like Black-owned, female-led, and you're a spa. We just do marketing for spas, right? There are a ton of them in this city and all around the country. But when you do that, it makes your content, your message, your deliverables, and your services very specific to them. It allows them to, the content that you create is there to resonate with that particular demo, right? As opposed to a 60-year-old male who runs a $40 million company. Right. You're talking to a female, maybe a solo entrepreneur who's, starting her spa, and this is her first year. Conversations and the content and the issues they're having are completely different.
That's so true. So with that being stated, I want to ask you, when people come to you with their business or your team, what does the consultation look like in regards to how and the different services that you'll provide to them?
I mean, most people are having the same issues. There's a lack of leads, which is a traffic issue. Either traffic or they're having issues, converting traffic into leads. And if it's not that and they've got plenty of leads and plenty of traffic, well, it's just a conversion issue, right? They're not doing a good job with explaining the value of their product and making it easy for people to pay. So we're usually asking those questions, and I usually want to see data, right? So how many people hit your website last year? Most of them are like, oh, I don't know. How many people hit it last month? I don't know. Are you sending emails? No. Are you sending text messages? Well, yeah. Are you running ads? Kinda. So we're asking all of these questions to kind of figure out how sophisticated your marketing is. Do you have a target demo? Is there specific messaging? Do you have funnels? Do you have any automation? All of these things allow me to know where I need to take them and how we need to customize what we offer them.
Very nice. What is a common misconception when it comes to digital marketing where people feel like, oh, I can just do that by myself?
That it's easy. That all you need to do is create a reel. It's going to go viral, and you're going to be making millions of dollars. I actually have a client right now who believes they're more sophisticated at marketing than they are. And it's because we now live in an age where for $20 to $40, you can get access to some very sophisticated software. And people mistake their ability to buy a software with their ability to get results, right? Just because you know where LeBron buys his shoes doesn't mean you can dunk.
No, that's right.
Right? Just because you know where Steph Curry, what gym he goes to, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to shoot 3-pointers at the same rate as him.
Valid.
So you having the stuff or having a little bit of information does not equal results. And a lot of entrepreneurs are under the misconception that they can get the same results as an entire team of people simply because they know what software we use. And, I very much encourage them to go and try.
Because they're going to whip around and be like, okay, I actually do need you.
You are going to spin the block, I promise you.
I love that. Okay, so I also want to talk about when people come to you and ask for your services. Usually a lot of times when they think of marketing, it's only social media. You sometimes have to introduce to them, like there's different elements to marketing, and these are also options that you need to think about.
Those are the biggest misconception. Again, as another client who just thinks that if they just create better reels, then, everything is going to work out. And, I'm saying things like, well, how many leads are you generating? Do you have a sales funnel built to capture that information? Are you optimizing around that? Are you driving traffic to it outside of you creating reels and carousels? There's a strategy to social media, and usually social media, especially organic posting, is just there for you to identify content that would be good for advertising.
Very good.
So yeah, it most of the time when I have conversations with entrepreneurs, they don't know anywhere near the amount of stuff that they need to know. And we definitely have to spend most of our time on education.
That's what I was going to ask you next.
This is what a funnel is. This is what a lead is. This is how you convert somebody. Do you have a sales process? What are the stages? How long does it take on average to convert people? How many touch points do you need? All of these different things are what lead to predictable results. You met somebody at a networking event once and they became a client, a good client, amazing. But are you going to networking events every week?
Right.
And if you are, do you have a goal of how many leads you're trying to convert? And then once you talk to all those leads, did you keep track of your conversion rates? So you got 10 leads and you talked to 5 of them and you set meetings with them and only 2 showed up. Well, that means you've got a lead to appointment rate of 20%. Then what's your close rate? Of those 2 people that you talked to, how many of them closed? None. Okay, so that means that you need to talk to more people. When you start looking at the numbers that way, well, then that tells you the activity that you need to take in order to reach your revenue goals. But most people are not thinking that way. It's just, I need to create a reel.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people just think social media.
Yeah.
And there's more to it than just social media.
Yeah.
Okay, so outside of social media, what would you say would be a number one thing that all businesses need to take on when it comes to their marketing strategies or in digital strategies?
Lead generation.
Okay, give us some examples, like lead magnets. Give us some examples.
Yeah, I mean, lead magnets are bread and butter, tried and true way to bring people into your database, right? To get them on your list. So, if you're not familiar with a lead magnet, well, you should, but let's say you're not.
I'm going to go ahead and educate you today.
Yeah, so it's basically an ethical bribe. It is, hey, I'm going to give you this thing that has high perceived value in exchange for your contact information, right? And you need to automate that process. So not only automate the collection of their contact information, but automate the delivery of the thing that you said that you were going to give them. And then that information needs to flow into a CRM that can keep track of your contacts and your interactions with them. So yeah, you create a lead magnet, you put it on a landing page or a squeeze page that can be used interchangeably.
I never heard of squeeze. I never heard of that.
Yeah, you're kind of squeezing the contact information out of them, right?
Okay, that was nice.
Squeeze page, landing page, or opt-in page, same thing. Mm-hmm. So that needs to be the critical part. And not all lead magnets work.
Because they have to convert somehow, some way.
Right. So you may think that this is a great thing to give away for free, and the market does not. So are you paying attention to know if it's working or not? Again, it comes down to numbers. So Are you driving enough traffic to that lead magnet or squeeze page in order to figure out if it's working or not? What's the conversion rate? If you only get 5 people to the landing page a month, I mean, you typically need at least 100 to 200 people to hit that page to realize if it's actually working. So if you're only getting 5 people to a landing page a month, it's going to be years before you know that works, which is where something like advertising comes in. So you can force traffic to that page.
That's what I was going to ask you. For something free, would you do an ad?
Absolutely.
Okay.
1000%. There's if you're not, what are you doing? You are prolonging the learning curve.
Okay.
Because, I mean, some brands have great organic traffic. You know, they create great content, or maybe they're associated with influencers or, celebrities or whatever. So they get a good amount of organic traffic. But the average business owner is not.
True.
Right? They're not celebrities. They're not that interesting. Their content's not really that good.
Right.
If you don't know that, I'm letting you know.
Yeah. It'd be like that.
You're not that nice. So just to be honest. So in lieu of you trying to have or trying to create content to create a viral moment, you need to skip the line and you need to run ads so you can force 1,000 people to your landing page. You can force 10,000 people to your landing page, and you just pay to play.
I love that. So, okay, I'm going to ask you some more questions about this. Okay, so as you mentioned, automation. So you have this lead magnet. It could be, for an example, a digital checklist or something of that sense, right? Ebook, that's a big one. A lot of people do ebooks. So on the opposite end, what if it's a boot camp that's in person? Would that be a lead magnet, or is that too much? Like, when does it become too much where you need to start charging for things?
It actually doesn't matter.
Okay.
As long as the cost is manageable.
Makes sense.
So, I saw somebody in my industry, somebody who runs ads, who used an in-person event as a lead magnet.
Yeah.
He didn't charge. It was a boot camp. It was a thing. But he also anticipated his costs. So he spent thousands of dollars on ads. He spent thousands of dollars to get a conference room in a very nice hotel downtown. He paid his staff to be there. He also paid a guest speaker, a influencer to be there. So, I mean, he probably spent $15,000 to $20,000.
My God.
Right.
Free.
But for a free event. But he probably got maybe 10 to 15 people to actually sign up from that event.
Very nice.
And his pricing was anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 or $3,000 a month.
So he got that back.
Day of. So it's the numbers. And this is where most entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color, are missing the boat because they don't know their numbers. They're in business, but they're not really in business. When you start asking them about the details of their business, how many leads, how much traffic, what's your profit margin, how many people does it take to do this, how much time does it take to do this, all these different things, they can't give you those numbers. And that's the reason why they're not seeing the success that they want.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So with that being stated, what are 5 top things anybody that's listening, entrepreneur, creative, business owner, influencer, whatever titles that they want, what are 5 major things that they need to know about their business today?
1, you need to develop a predictable lead source. If you don't have one, if you've never even thought about that, then stop everything else you're doing and focus on where you know that you can go to get leads, whether that's paid or organic. Number 2, you need to nurture your leads. You need to consistently follow up with them over long periods of time, because we know that it takes usually around 11 touch points for you to convert somebody to a point where they, not even for them to buy, just for them to actually consider your offer. You need to have 11 interactions with them. And typically they need to watch around 7 hours of content. So that. And then I would also say doing a great job of segmenting your list. So again, I come from the promotion world. So one of the things I always saw a lot of promoters do terribly is they will burn their list. So if you've ever signed up for, your local promoter or nightclub's thing, they send you a ton of text messages and emails, and eventually you're just like, stop, leave me alone. That's because they weren't segmenting their list. They're not asking questions and looking at the behavior and then dividing that list into people that are interested in various things. So you have different products or services, or maybe you have something for older people and something for younger people, or something for men and something for women, right? You need to divide your list into their interests or their demographics. When you do those things, it allows you to deliver a message that's more targeted because you know different pieces of information about them. So if you can start an email by saying, "Attention ladies," because
this list is for ladies.
Exactly. Or, "This is for my fellas." If I'm a guy and I'm like, click, because the goal is just to get them to open. And then the information in the email is all male-centric, which is more likely to get me to click, right? So all of that information allows you to segment and allows you to get better response, open and click-through rates and conversion rates when you can deliver the targeted message at the right time. Or, birthdays.
I was going to say about birthdays, yes.
Collect their birthday, their birth date, and then send them a message 30 days before their birthday or the day of their birthday or whatever. Exactly. So, understanding that the collection of data is not just for you to collect data and let it sit in a spreadsheet or a CRM, using that and making it actionable so that you can deliver messages on time.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so I can be here all day talking to you about these strategies. Okay, let's talk about a case study of yours.
Okay.
Someone came in, let's say, had no idea the power of digital marketing, right? Had no idea about the techniques, the strategies they knew it was going to elevate them because, of course, they came to your business, right? But they just didn't know the exact power of me now coming to you and we are implementing all the things that you're telling me to do. Can you provide us a case study where you took them from point A to Z? Like, there was massive, impressive numbers. Now they know, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to implement this. We have these strategies. Do you have someone that you can share with us? It could just be a case study. You don't have to say your names.
We've got plenty. So Coach Dr. J is one of my star clients. She's amazing. She's in the education space. She has been on this road. She's had this idea for a business for over 10 years. I think 14 years. In the last 6, she has been just chipping away at this thing. She has a full-time job. She was a college professor. She has helped thousands of students at the collegiate level, but she had a hard time transitioning into this business thing and trying to figure out all of these marketing and websites and funnels and social media and all these different things. So we've basically rebuilt her entire digital stack. We've built a brand new website. We've redone her logo. We have built out 3 or 4 funnels for her. We manage her social media. We have helped her get into national publications like the Women's Journal and local publications like the San Francisco Post and, all of these various things. And, as a result, she's in negotiation with 2 6-figure contracts as we speak. And she's trying to lock these down. We have helped her create a online course and built out an LMS for her so she can sell her knowledge and her solutions. And, her social media, I think last we checked, like the last 90 days, she's had like a 12,000% increase in the engagement, the impressions, and all that different stuff. And it's a testament to her because she just finally said, "I'm tired of doing this alone." I understand some of these things, but not all of them. But more importantly, I don't have the time. I have to go to work. I need to make money. I got to pay my bills. But I need my business to keep moving. So she entrusted us to do a lot of these things. And whenever we come up with a new product or service, she's the first one to sign up. Another example is JetQuest. It's an international luxury travel brand. We signed a long-term deal with them. We have rebuilt their entire digital stack. We built hundreds of pages for their website and funnels. We built what we call Priority VIP, which is started out as just a mailing list, but then turned into a rewards program and all these different things. We kind of created that out of thin air and built a password protected area for them to go into and get access to all the rewards. We built out an affiliate program for them with a area where their affiliates can go and see all of the, leads and sales and all those different things. We have got them in plenty of publications and all kinds of earned media. And then we actually just ran an ad campaign for them last month where, and this is nerdy, but we were able to generate leads at less than $1 leads for them.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I think the figure was like 87 cents per lead. So, if you were to do some math, if you were to spend $870 where you'd have 870 leads, right?
That's
so
crazy.
yeah. So yeah, we've been able to do some amazing things for people, and our team is growing, and so is our client list. And it's just, for me, the money's great. We make good money at the company, but I do it because I love seeing business, especially Black businesses, grow. I love seeing us affect the founders and the owners, their employees, and by effect, their customers, right? They get experiences to go all around the world, or they end up finishing college the way Coach Dr. J helps them, or some of our other clients that do a variety of things, from doctors and lawyers to TV networks that we represent. We help businesses reach their goals. We help them really affect people's lives.
I love that. That is so beautiful. Okay, so one last question. When it comes to your company versus other companies, what is the difference from the services that you guys provide versus the others?
We do everything. Well, I won't say everything.
Y'all really do, based on what we've been talking about.
We do a majority of things. So a lot of companies, a lot of agencies, they do one thing. So they do video. Right? They're a creative agency. They do videos and pictures, which is, needed. But how does that help you make money? So I say the biggest thing is we are A to Z. A lot of agencies focus on one thing or another, right? They just do social media, or they just do creative, or they only do ads, or they only do graphics. They are a piece of the puzzle. And I hear a lot of people having bad experiences because that person only does a piece, not realizing that you need the entire puzzle. And you went to someone, they built you a website, and you're like, all right, they built me a site, but nobody's going to it. Like, yeah, you need to send people to it. Okay, well, I got a site, and then I started doing social media, but people like my stuff, but they don't give me their information because that's not what it's for. Or I'm running ads, but I'm not really getting anything from it. I'm not getting any sales. That's because you're not working with someone who knows how to convert traffic into leads and leads into sales. So you need all of these things to work in concert. It's the difference between a soloist and an orchestra.
Come on, symbolism, that was good.
I think that we stand out because we can meet you where you are. If you want to piecemeal one of our services, that's fine with us. But if you really want to get things going, you want it to move fast, well, then you can use all of our services and we can launch you forward.
I love this. This was so good. You dropped a lot of gems today. Okay, so tell the people if they want to reach out as far as, hey, can I get some tips? Can I get a consultation? I want to learn more about your content, anything as far as like the business. How can they reach out to you? WebsterBerry Marketing. If you Webster like the dictionary, WEBSTER, and then BERRY, all one word. You go to WebsterBerryMarketing.com. My agency is there. Our services, some of our lead magnets are on there. I have a book that I wrote about content called Content Canon. It's available in Barnes & Noble and Amazon and Google Books and all the places. And on social media, if you just look up WebsterBerry Marketing, we are on every major platform. So beautiful. Do you feel like I missed anything?
No.
Any ways you want to give the people?
I would say the biggest thing is just knowing your numbers.
That's my biggest takeaway for sure.
That, most people, they focus on vanity metrics. If they do know their numbers, how many people like something, how many people watch it, how many views. And those things are cool, but they're there as indicators. That's not the goal, right? I've said it many times. I would rather be the most unpopular billionaire than the most popular poor person, right? So focus on using social media or whatever you're doing as an indicator that you're going down the right path, but not the win all to be all. Focus on what happens after they watch, what happens after they like, how many real conversations are you having? How many of those conversations are turning into leads, and how many of those leads are turning into actual customers? And when you figure out the rates or the percentages from view to customer, you just got to figure out how to do it faster.
Love it. Well, that is it. I am so appreciative of your time today, because this is needed when it comes to helping businesses take it from one level to the next.
Indeed.
So I am thankful. Y'all make sure he gave you all the handles. So definitely reach out. And if you're listening to this morning, noon, evening, or night, thank you so much for listening to What's Good Podcast, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us for another episode of What's Good Podcast with your girl, Brianna Jovahn. If you found today's discussion inspiring, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your preferred podcast platform. Explore additional resources on our website at whatsgood-productions.com and find our social media links listed in the show notes. Stay tuned for more captivating stories ahead. Until next time, stay blessed and keep uplifting your community.